afternoon, everyone. If we could all take our seats, please. My name is Danielle Moldovan, and I'm the founder and mompreneur of Fun in the Box Kids. And today we are learning how to build a community. So I'm going to introduce Julie, and she's going to introduce herself and the rest of our panel. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Julie Ball, and I'm the founder and chief sparkler at Sparkle Hustle Grow, which is a women's entrepreneurship box. And I'm joined today by some amazing women. But before we meet them, I want to get a feel for the room. Raise your hand if you already use a community in conjunction with your subscription box. Ooh, there's a lot. Awesome. Good. We have a lot to talk about. So, ladies, if you would introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alessandra, and I'm VP of Growth at IPSY. IPSY is a beauty subscription box that delivers 5 sample-size products and just released 5 full-size new product line this past month to you every month.
Hi, my name is Nicole Brown. I'm the founder of Izzy and Live. We are a lifestyle brand that's dedicated to celebrating women of color. Our box is called the Brown Sugar Box. It's delivered every month. It includes a graphic tee and 5 to 6 additional accessories along a monthly theme.
Hi everyone, my name is Ella. I'm the founder of Barbella Box. So we deliver fitness apparel, gear, snacks, supplements to women.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies. So we're going to go through a few questions and let everybody answer, and then at the end we're going to make some time for Q&A. So the first thing we want to start with is, why is it even important to have a community? For me, I've tapped into my community for so many things, like making business decisions, for retention, for loyalty. So Alessandra, what would you say, why is it so important for you at IPSY to have a community?
Yeah, I think for IPSY and for just any company out there, it's becoming more and more important. We were discussing this before with these wonderful ladies here. I think we live in a very individualistic world. We're all in the Western world. And I think people are there really longing for true connections, and it's becoming harder and harder to find these connections in the streets. And so we're seeing these trends with social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And so I think it's really important for every brand out there to prove their authority through building genuine, authentic communities.
Yeah, that's absolutely a good point. You hear the quote, find your tribe and love them hard, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. So why, Nicole, is it important for you to have a community?
It's important because I think it's not enough nowadays to have a good product or a good service or a good idea. You know, your customers nowadays, the barrier between the brand and customers is really like blurred because of social media. They want to know that you're authentic. They want to be able to connect with you, to talk to you, and for you to talk back to them, which requires you to build a relationship with them in an authentic way, to the point where your product is really secondary to the meaning behind your product or your reason for being. You know, so it's like for me, I sell t-shirts, and I include mugs and tote bags. My customers are not coming to me because they can't get a mug from anywhere. They're not coming to me because they can't get a t-shirt from anywhere. They're not telling their friends to subscribe because of that. They're coming because of the meaning behind it, because it gives them a voice. It's because so they can be seen. And so it's important as a brand to tap into that and to be able to cultivate that, because those are the things that are the intangible things that, unlike a product, you can't put a price tag on, and that's where the sweet spot is. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to piggyback on that, people want to feel like they're part of something, and so everyone really said the important thing, that people want to be part of a group, they want to be part of a community, they want to feel heard. But from a business standpoint, how you can kind of capitalize on that is it builds loyalty, it builds trust. They want to keep coming back, and they want to tell everybody about it because of the feeling they had associated with the products they received. So that's extremely important, and it's a really great way to just keep the business growing.
And I love that, because you really build this true connection with people through your community. And so what does your community look like at Barbella? I know you have a pretty niche product. So tell everyone what that community looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a closed Facebook group, and it's not only subscribers. Our subscribers, I would say, are the big chunk of the people in that group. But it's people who are maybe interested but haven't really had the guts to subscribe. They want to kind of hear from these subscribers, or people who have subscribed and maybe skipped. They're sticking around, seeing what else is out there. But really, they're not only there because of the product, because of Barbella Box. They're there because they want to share stories. They want to share, their PRs that they hit at the gym. They want to share, maybe they're looking for advice. These are like-minded women, and they're looking for advice for something that happened at work or something that happened at the gym, and they're like, how do I respond to this? And what's been really cool that this happened kind of authentically, these girls are meeting up with each other. And so there'll be, different CrossFit competitions. And I see people are like, who's gonna be at this competition this weekend? Like, let's meet up. And they'll all have, coffee together before the competition, or they'll meet up after and they'll be like, oh, how was that? Oh, you're wearing a Barbella Box shirt. Like, hey, I know you. So it's really created just a fun and engaging atmosphere, online and offline.
So you've transformed this community, and they organically have these conversations, right? You're not prompting them to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And they're doing these meetups on their own.
Yes.
And you just get to sit back and
I love it.
watch the loyalty grow.
It's unbelievable.
That's
yeah.
awesome. Okay, so what does your community look like? Where does it live, and what do you do there?
Okay, so it's a bit similar. We have a Facebook group. Our customers, they actually meet up on their own every month. They unbox together. They've done paint and sips together in their different locations. They've gone on cruises together.
And they're doing that on their own.
They do it on their own, and now we're starting to do other events because they're like, can we have an Izzy and Live event where we can all go? So we're doing like a pop-up shop next month and things like that. They also, I lost my train of thought. So they do meetups together. They also, we put a T-shirt in every box, so they could be at an airport and see somebody wearing a T-shirt, and then they'll take a picture, like, I saw a fellow brown sugar babe, and they take a picture, post in the group. We do a lot to also cultivate that, so we feature them. We have a mini magazine in our box every month. We ask them to tag us in their pictures, how they're using the products, and then we feature them, and they get excited when they see themselves in the magazine. They post, oh, I made the magazine. We also do things where we reach out to the community. So we had, with the government shutdown, we had a lot of customers who had to cancel because their money was tight. We actually put up a donation box up on the site, and our customers who could afford it bought a box for another customer, and then we matched that. We gave over 500 boxes to our subscribers who were furloughed. We've done the same thing we reached out to our customers and said, let us know if you have, a high school that you know of with young girls who are seniors who are going to prom or they're getting ready to graduate, because we have different items from boxes that we bundled together and donated those. So we foster that in different ways. So we say now that we're not just a box, we're a sisterhood. So it happened organically, and then we continue to reach back into the community to continue to foster and help that grow.
And your community, is it private just for subscribers, or is that for everybody?
It's 90% subscribers, and then there's people who have canceled. There's people who are not sure if they want to subscribe.
They stick around.
Yeah, or they might cancel, and then they start to see what they missed, and like, oh man, I shouldn't have canceled. I need to get back in. So but we have about 90% of them in the group are active.
So we're seeing a trend here for both of them, that their online community is translating into like this offline sisterhood. So IPSY has got a massive audience, and you told me previously that you kind of segment your community from like ambassadors and customers. So can you tell us what your community looks like?
Yeah, so first of all, I consider myself really lucky to join a company that has already such a big community. So we have 3+ million monthly active users right now in the US alone. And so I just consider myself lucky for that. The way our community, so we try to foster this relationship both online and offline. So online, similar to you guys, we have a Facebook group, we have a blog. We are trying to build a forum where people can actually comment back and forward on But also what we're trying to do online is really try to hear them as much as we can. So we get in contact with them on a monthly basis. We ask feedback about the bag that they just received that specific month. And we ask what they think the next product should look like, if the personalization is good enough or if it's not, etc. And then the other big part of our community, and I think that's what really made IPSY the biggest subscription box out there, is we started off, so one of our founders was one of the very early YouTube influencers, Michelle Fon. And so we really started taking care of our creators. It's really important to have a strong and loyal community, but I think it's just equally important if we find influencers out there, and they don't have to be macro influencers that you had to pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars to engage with. We're trying to go as small as we can because that's where we find that the community is really authentic. And so we started reaching out to a lot of these creators to the point that right now we have about 8,500 people in our net of beauty creators, that they do have a private Facebook group. And what we do for them and for their communities is we also organize offline events. So we just recently started and we're scaling this program. So right now we have about 10 events across the US, with the biggest event being Gem Beauty in New York. Last year we had about 5,000 influencers showing up to that event. And we try to acquire new users, given that I'm still VP of growth, so I still care about prospecting users too, through these events, right? So we showcase all the brands that we carry, we give out samples, we make them try the product, and we find that that's a really important way for new customers as well as our loyal customers to engage even more with the brand. So that's been quite successful, and we want to start doing more. But I think one thing that I want to stress here is that in order to grow a community, you also have to have kind of a growth mindset always in mind. So just keep experimenting. We know that content is key. So keep experimenting with the content. How can you get your customers engaged? Ask questions on Facebook, on Instagram. What we found was really successful was to get testimonials out of our users, was to ask what they needed. And for example, in the case of IPSY, they needed more educational content. And so we started delivering it to them through groups, through collaterals in the bag. And so that's been really helpful. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about how we use our communities. So you're using it to get feedback. You're using it to enhance the experience because they told you they needed more educational content, so you delivered on that. Some things that we do in our community is we ask this or that. So we'll post a picture of 2 items, and we say, vote this, do you want item A or item B? And whichever one has the most votes is one that actually gets in the box. So they feel like they're really a part of helping, decide what's in the next box. So how do you guys, what are some unique ways that you use your community to help guide your business decisions?
Really, in my group, it's really just listening to them. It's paying attention to the things that they talk about that have nothing to do with my product, like things that they're interested in that might spark ideas, and also the feedback that they give on the items that they've received. Sometimes they give theme ideas. Sometimes they just like to complain. You gotta,
You will get that in the community too.
It's really just listening and not being afraid of your customers. Like sometimes we don't want to hear anything negative, and we don't want to leave that open because we are afraid of what we're going to hear. Don't be afraid of your customers. Like listen to them. Be open to the criticism, good and bad, and then take that to continue to grow, because it's a relationship, and within a relationship you have to learn people over time.
So what do you do if you get a negative post or some criticism in the group? Do you guys handle that as a team, or do you just
I always thank them for their feedback. Thank you so much for your feedback. We appreciate it. If it's really, really negative, then we'll say, there's certain ways that we go about in the group.
Yeah, so there's some moderation that has to happen.
Yeah. But I don't ever, even though I might want to, I don't ever, I keep it professional.
Yeah, but sometimes that negative criticism can help you make a business decision. It might help you see something that you didn't see yourself. I'll give you a quick example. We had a criticism. So in Sparkle Hustle Grow, we always send a book, online training, and then 4 to 6 items like stationery, tech gadgets, things for your office. We had someone say, well, I really love being a part of your community, and I love the books, but I have too much stuff. Like, I just don't need any more stuff. And then it created this long post of, I'm in the same boat, I wish I could just get the book in the community, that type of thing. And so we actually created a mini product for those people and transitioned them instead of losing them. So it was kind of this retention bonus that came out of listening and pivoting in a business decision.
Yeah, and to kind of add on like the negative feedback, what's so interesting is when you do create this community and they are so loyal and they'll do anything for the brand, what I sometimes see, actually very, very often, is if someone does have something negative to say, before I can even get there to comment on it, we have tons of girls that are like, well, actually, they're almost like doing it for me. And so that is created with the community as well. That loyalty follows through with everything. And these girls really have your back in our situation.
It's a really nice perk to have, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So what other unique ways do you use your community?
Yeah, so some things we do, some examples are if we'll poll them and see what kind of patterns they want to have in future boxes, what colors they're looking for, if there are any specific products or brands that they want us to work with. So we'll get that information. We'll also get feedback on boxes. Another thing is sometimes we'll include, let's say, 4 different colors of the same item in a box. And if people want to exchange with each other, we were talking about this before, they can do that through this group. So there are a lot of perks of building that community and this platform for these people to talk to each other. And that's really just a few of the ways we use that community.
Awesome. So let's talk about how you grow your community. So if you want to have this community that you can tap into to use for all these amazing reasons, how do we build that community? And some of us use it as an open public group where we can generate leads from, where we can just build community, and some of us use it as an actual perk of being a subscriber. And that's how we do it at Sparkle Hustle Grow. We market it as a perk, and when we have surveyed our customers, we often hear, I joined for the stuff, but I stayed for the community. So it's just about finding that tribe. And so how do you grow your community of loyal customers, but also your ambassadors? How do you build that?
So I think there are a few things. Again, content, it's what drives the community, is what drives that feedback, is what drives the conversation. So experiment on content. And
so specifically, like what kind of content? Is it blogs? Is it Facebook? How are you?
It's across the board, right? So like it's very important to really take advantage of all the traffic in the social medias these days. So we're really focusing on Instagram stories, Facebook Live, Facebook blogs, internal blogs, forums, etc. I think there is no reason for us not to take advantage of all these different media channels. And so that's really important. But then what's important to grow the community, I think, is to keep that, growth hacking type of mindset of, okay, now I'm building a community, I'm sharing very relatable and inspiring content and educational content. Now, how can I make my community share this content with their community? And so just always keep that in mind, like make sure that always your content is shareable, that it's shareable in the easiest form possible, so like via SMS or Messenger these days, really. And also like offer some loyalty program to your community. So say, for example, what we're doing for our users who've been with us for over a year or two, we offer them free bags to gift to their friends. But then they have to share these promotions with their friends, and that's how the word of mouth keep building.
And do you do that with unique links, and that's how you track it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always do it with unique links, otherwise you're gonna be...
It's a free-for-all.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so how do you build your community and drive that loyalty?
It's really, for us, it's allowing our customers to be our advocates. So we encourage them to share, to post. We reward them for it by, featuring in the magazine. We pick a winner every month of a free box for people who share. We also have a loyalty program and a referral program where you refer three friends. If they subscribe, you can earn a free box. And then also just giving them value and delighting them and giving them something that they are excited about that makes them want to share with other people. And then we promote the group in every box. We drive people there through email and things like that.
So you drive them to your group through email?
Yeah, through email, and then in the box. So in our box, we
okay.
have our mini magazine, and in the last page of that, it says,
Go
great stuff is happening in the group. You can come in the group. You can trade your items. You can do all that
Love
type
it.
of stuff in there. Yeah.
Okay, at Barbella Box, how do you grow your community?
Yeah, we do it very similarly to that. I would say probably once a quarter we'll email our email list, and we'll just say, hey, in case you didn't know, we also have this Facebook group, and we will kind of list some value adds to the Facebook group, why they should join. And we'll also have some almost like speakers. They'll do either like a live video or they'll post a video, and it's people who are pretty big in the CrossFit and fitness world, and they'll have a specific topic. So that'll be a way to drive a lot of people to the group, and then once they're there, we see them stay, and they engage, and once they're kind of hooked at that point, and it really just grows organically from that.
We do something similar. Once someone becomes a subscriber, their first email from us is kind of like what to expect. And within that email, there's a direct link to our Facebook group that says, join our Facebook group, join the conversation now. And so because we market it as a perk of the subscription, we need to validate that person before we let them in our group. So how we do that with Facebook groups is you are allowed to ask some questions before you allow someone into your private Facebook group. And we just ask for their email address. What email address did you subscribe with? And then we cross-check that with our software. So yeah, we have guest experts in there as well. And another thing that I love when you said bring value into the group. We do secret subscriber sales, which essentially is just us selling our excess inventory. So if you overbought for the month, and you need a place to kind of offload that inventory, the people that already buy and experience and have some of those products, they're probably pretty loyal, and it's probably a pretty easy sale. So those are some of the ways that we at Sparkle Hustle Grow use it.
We do that too.
So let's go down the line, and what is one thing right now you can tell the audience to do to grow your community? Like, where would you start? What's that one thing? You want to start, Nicole?
I would say encourage your customers to give you content. Encourage them to share. Ask them to send photos, to send videos. Reward them to do that, so that they can start to become your advocates, and give them an avenue and a platform to be able to do that. That's like the easiest low-hanging fruit to do.
Yeah, so you're not responsible for creating all this massive content for the group. If you encourage them to do it, kind of takes it off your shoulders.
But also then they feel like they're a part of it, right? Because now they're on your site, or they're in your right, and they feel like they're a part of your brand, and that's community.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, if you said, okay, please get 1,000 more people in our Facebook group, what I would do today is I would probably post something on Instagram and have some kind of incentive to get them to sign up for the Facebook group. So, whether that is a speaker or somebody that's going to be in the event, whether that's, something of value, that's exactly what I would do. I would have a post, some incentive, maybe tag some people to win a prize, and get people into the group that way.
Yeah, and I would say, understand who your community is, what's their psychographics, or what's their demographics, and try to figure out where your prospect community might be. And so I want to stress how important it is to engage with influencers and micro-influencers these days, because they can do a lot of the hard lift work for you. So say, for example, I know that there are a lot of subscription boxes in this room, so there are subreddit groups that they have over 1 million people just dedicated to beauty, for example. There are Facebook groups with over 1, 2, 3 million people just dedicated to beauty or maybe fitness or lifestyle. So I know it takes some work, but have your social team start engaging with these groups, because once they start to getting to know you, they hate when you just don't engage with them and then you want to launch a new product and you just post something there. So, but start engaging with this community because that can be super powerful. Like, I mean, one example that that I can bring up is our relationship with MSA, My Subscription Addiction. That's been like super successful over the past few months, and that's been like a relationship that was, you know, slowly built and fostered, really. So I think that's really important.
So not only are you using your own community, but you're tapping into other communities that have that same demographic or the same buying habits, and so you can use that as a sales engine. But yeah, I would agree with you. Don't treat your community like just try to sell them. You have to be a part of that community, having these conversations with them. So some of the major takeaways here, I would say, are, you know, people want interaction, and it's not just online. They want offline interaction as well. And so building these communities is a great way to do that. And organically, they're going to create events and want to meet each other in person. So as we wrap it up here, before we go into Q&A, does anybody have any closing remarks about what communities have done for your business, or, you know, other ways that you've used them?
I would just say, for me, the community is why my business is growing and continues to grow. Like, I can't take credit for it, and I'm not an evil genius, right? Like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. But because, and I would caution just everybody, just remember why you are in the business that you're in, why you chose the niche that you're in, and continue to move in service of that. Sometimes when we start businesses, we have this idea, we have this passion, and as we get into the weeds of it, we might kind of lose our way, and then start focusing more on chasing the dollar. Continue to chase serving your customer, continue to chase giving them more value, and the more that you move in service of your customer, the money will follow, they'll share, because that authenticity will come out, and they'll continue to do that work for you. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Well said.
Yeah, and I was going to just add to that, from a business standpoint, again, it builds trust, loyalty, it increases retention, decreases churn. It really is going to allow the business to continue to grow in the correct way.
I would agree. And one other thing I wanted to point out was that these Facebook groups, they're free to create. So this isn't adding on to, you know, your expenses. What it takes is time. You know, making sure that you are listening to them, making sure that you're also engaging with them. So that would be my closing remark. Anybody else? We can move into Q&A. I believe they've got a mic back there, right over there.
Hi, ladies.
Hey.
So I'm one of Julie's subscribers, so if you want a first-hand review, I love Sparkle Hustle Grow. But
Thank you.
my question is around when you started your community. Have you had your community since the beginning? And if so, well, not if so, in general, how did you find your moderators, and have you ever had to kick anyone out of the group?
I can start. So I did not start with the community. When I first started, as a lot of people are probably in a very similar situation, I had no idea what I was doing. And so everything kind of happened organically, and when I realized that there was a need for it, that's when I added it on. It probably took me about a year before I realized that I should have some kind of community where these women can converse with each other, because they were doing it on their own already through like Instagram posts or Facebook posts, and they were building friendships just by talking back and forth throughout our social media. And then when I created the group, people are like, oh my God, thank you. This is what we needed. This is what we wanted. And so it was a value add at that point. we've had some people in there that we needed to kick out, unfortunately. Yeah, and it's almost like they were in there just to be negative and to talk people down. And the way we position the group is, this is a positive group. We want you to share your stories, to share, be inspirational, and for these women to be inspired by other like-minded people. And so it was a very easy decision and to kick certain people out. Yeah. For the moderators, I'm still doing it myself. I don't know why. It's probably something I need to get off of my plate very quickly because it does take a lot of time. Yeah.
So I'm gonna answer the how to get moderators. So you need to do
Can you
this,
help
do
me
this
with that
this
too?
week,
Yeah.
okay? So I started my group probably the second month of my box. The first 2 months I was doing the moderation. And then you start to notice who are the people in your group who are commenting the most, who are the most active. And I made a post, I said, I'm looking for volunteers. I didn't even tell them, I ended up I give them a free box, but I didn't tell them they were gonna get a free box because I didn't want people to only volunteer because they wanted a free box. I wanted them to volunteer because they were interested and they were passionate about it. And I got maybe about 15 people who wanted to do it, and I picked 4. And then I reward them with a free box. And so they do the moderation for me, and I create a separate moderators only private group. So in there, that's where they can, post, problem people, screenshot stuff, what should we do with this person? I can, update them on things that I need them to communicate. And so that's how I did. So, and they're still, this is probably a year and a half since I started that, the group. They're still volunteers, and they, one of them I had to let go because they weren't doing what they're supposed to do. But other than that, yeah, and they stay on top of it. They'll watch people who are negative. They'll, delete, people and all that type of stuff, and then I don't have to have, no culpability. It wasn't me. I didn't kick you out.
Do you give them a free box every month, or just that one time?
Every
first
month
box?
they get it. Yeah,
Okay,
they
cool.
get a free box.
How did you pick the people that you were gonna have? Like, how do you know to trust them? And did you
So
interview them?
I knew that they were subscribers.
Okay.
I had been watching them, like I see like what their posts were, and you could search somebody's name, you can see everything that
Yep.
they commented on, checked out their page, asked them some questions, and then it was volunteer. So if it didn't work out, I would just this is not working out, and be on
Sure.
to the next person. Yeah.
Right, we have another question.
Do you have the way to segment the people in your community? For example, some people might be your advocates. Some people might be like heavy, like members or something like that. And second question, what kind of resources do you have to prepare to manage the community?
Do you want to address the one with the segments?
Yeah, so I think it's then it gets down to 2 things, right? Like how you organize your data infrastructure within your company. So what type of questions do you ask up front? Because that really helps figure out what type of user profiles you are working with. And then second way of doing it is just be direct and ask them and just see their patterns within your site. Like what do they do? What do they engage with the most, etc. Like to just double down on what you said. I think especially for smaller companies that they don't have the capability to just hire like social media people to deal with the community, I think it's super, super powerful to make your most loyal users your ambassadors. Like in my previous company, we had 50 million monthly active users. It was a massive community across the board, across the world, and they, we picked about 50 ambassadors in each country, and they were doing so much more than our internal marketing team. Like they would create events, they would bring like PR and journalists to these events. They would pay with their own pockets to have like live music festivals, etc. So I think that's really powerful, right? Like of course, if you can hire a couple of people in your social media team that can also moderate your community, great. Otherwise, I would say definitely try to engage with your community, and you'd be surprised. They would just love doing that for you.
So you guys talked about having a close community, but I know that, Julie, you verify them in order to come in. And I don't know if you guys, I know that one of you said that you have subscribers and non-subscribers in as well. Currently, I run a Facebook group I've let everybody in because, it's such a box that I know a lot of people want to hear about and everything. So the first question is, how do you choose which one is better? And then the second part is about letting influencers that you have in partnerships also join the community, and how you guys feel about them posting their unboxings or their experience in their kind of self-promotion within your own community. How that is it taboo or not?
I'll start. We allow our guest experts in, so every month we bring in a guest expert to do something similar as what you were talking about, a live training and just interacting. We keep the group pretty non-promotional, but that guest expert has given us their time for free and has brought us in new customers a lot of times. So we do allow them to do one post in there that's kind of an opt-in if they want to grow their list. For me, I didn't want to run two separate Facebook groups, one for the public and one for private, because I physically didn't have enough time in the day or a large enough team to do so. So that's why we decided to market it as a perk of the subscription itself. Makes it easier to manage, and it brings a ton of value to our subscribers. And so we wanted to really make that happen for them.
My group is open. I asked maybe like 3 or 4 questions before they can get in, just to like kind of weed out spam and trolls. And other than that, like they can come in, and they don't have to be a subscriber. The majority of them are subscribers, but it's good. Some people are on the fence of whether or not to subscribe, and so they might want to learn from other subscribers. Like, is this value? Is it worth it? What did you get in it? So it's beneficial for me to allow both in for that reason. I think that answer your question. Yeah. Okay.
For me, mine is it's closed, but it's open for anyone to join. Specifically, I only allow women in there just because these women want to share maybe personal things that are pertaining to women type problems or issues or whatever, and so they feel more comfortable. In the beginning, I did allow men in also. It just didn't turn out very well, so that's the only thing we really look out for. And then I was gonna say something else, and I lost it. So,
Well, we have another question back here.
Hi, this is Nick from Creative Good. What technology solution do you recommend for storing data on your community or your subscribers to then personalize messaging to them in the future? Is there a platform that you recommend that houses all of that info and tags on subscribers and community members?
That is a great question, and I'm not qualified to answer it. I use Facebook groups, so we have insights, Facebook group insights. That's how we do that, but we don't create personalized messages within our community. Ours is sort of a guided experience. We have a book study, so we have prompts. We have specific days to introduce yourself, specific days to do promos, so that's where most of our engagement happens. So do any of you guys use the data from your communities to, guide your marketing or your next move?
I mean, as far as Facebook goes, they're not giving you any type of report. So you have to just pay attention and make notes on like comments, save different posts or things like that. In terms of messaging, like sending personalized messaging, I use email for that. I use Klaviyo, so you can segment your list that way. You can do by how many boxes have they gotten, have they canceled, did they churn because their cards decline, after a certain number of months I want to remarket to them in some way. I use my email platform for that type of stuff. Facebook, it's more of like observing and making notes of that and using that to inform like your strategies and your different what you're going to do, the next months as you're planning your box out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What about at IPSY?
Yeah, so for mobile app users, I don't know if you guys have mobile apps, but we track their device IDs. So then we can follow them throughout the journey, and that's how we segment, say, for example, people who have subscribed versus people who have churned, etc. And then for the web traffic, then we just looked at their user IDs, and that's how we track. So in terms of messaging, there are different platforms out there, and then again, like if you skew more towards you want to message them through email, we use Iterable. It's just a third-party vendor, but like if you skew more towards apps, perhaps there's another one, Brace, that it's probably better for push notifications. But yeah, there are a few out there, and then there are the more expensive one, like the Salesforce of the world, but it's probably not for none of us.
Well, that's all the time we have. Friends, thank you, ladies, for being a part
you.
of this panel. If you have other questions, we'll be in the hall.